Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the 27th edition of the Educational Leadership Forum, focused on transforming education for human and planetary flourishing. Thank you for being with us on a weekday to attend the workshop session featuring Seema Sharma. We sincerely appreciate your presence and participation. Before we start, our participants can introduce themselves in the chat box on your right hand side, and you can mention your name and where are you from. It can help us to know more about you all as well. My name is Lai Ke-ying, and I'm here to introduce the workshop facilitator for today. In the last session of the forum, that is the Distinguished Global Lecture, we had the pleasure of engaging with Dr. Nitya Prakash, CEO of Quality New Zealand Education, on the topic of democratizing global education and its impact on GER, where the speaker emphasized the three pillars of education: accessibility, affordability, and inclusivity for democratizing education. The lecture also put a spotlight on unlearning for going beyond merely having jobs towards a more humanistic approach where people are the most important, are the fundamental core of why we are one to democratize education. The aim should be to enable people to achieve their aspirations. As he said in the end, in a gold rush, don't dig for gold, sell shovels. With that goal in mind, Global Citizenship Foundation now presents this workshop session, and with immense pleasure, we welcome the facilitator of this workshop, Seema Sharma, the principal of MSS World School. For those of you who are new to the Educational Leadership Forum, the Educational Leadership Forum was started with a mission to provide a platform for educational leaders to shape, empower, influence, and advance the discourse on transforming education for human and planetary flourishing. Our goal is to create a space where experts, practitioners, and educational leaders from across the globe can come together to share their knowledge, insights, and best practices for achieving this critical mission. Through the Educational Leadership Forum online series, the Global Citizenship Foundation and the Council for Global Citizenship Education are committed to supporting educational leaders and educators in their efforts to transform education. We believe that by connecting and sharing our ideas and experiences, we can create positive change in the world and ensure that all learners have the tools and resources they need to succeed. Whether you are an educator, administrator, or a policymaker, we believe that you will come away with something valuable, a new idea, a fresh perspective, a new strategy that you can apply to be more successful at doing what you do best. By investing in your own continuous personal and professional development, you will help to ensure that education continues to evolve and improve towards human and planetary flourishing. We hope this workshop session today contributes to your efforts toward impacting your peers, learners, and the wider community. Now, a warm welcome to you, Sima. The floor is all yours.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Yang. Thank you so much for this introduction. And a very good evening, good morning, good afternoon to everyone. And welcome to this workshop on globalizing the curriculum, integrating diverse perspective and voices. My name is Seema Sharma, and I am your presenter today. I'm working as a founder principal at MSS World School, which is a K-12 Cambridge board school in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, India. Now, this workshop is designed to help educators understand the importance of globalizing the curriculum and provide practical strategies for integrating diverse perspective and voices into your teaching practices. As an educator, I have seen firsthand the impact of globalizing the curriculum on my students. I would like to share here that when I was teaching in a history class, one of my students asked, why do we learn only about Indian history? What about the rest of the world? And that question really made me think about the importance of globalizing the curriculum and ensuring that our students are exposed to diverse perspectives and voices. And that's exactly what I want, or what we all want for our students, that they should see themselves reflected in what they learn. And also at the same time, develop a perspective or understanding, a deeper understanding of the world around them. So let's get started on this journey of globalizing the curriculum together without further ado. I would request Ms. Ridhima to start the presentation. Yes. So on your screen, you all can see that very well. It's mentioned what is globalizing the curriculum. So let's get started with the basics. We know that the definition is up there on your screen. It means the process of integrating global issues and perspective and voices into the curriculum to prepare our students for an increasingly interconnected world. This is very important because our students are growing up in a world where they will interact with people from different cultures, different backgrounds, different perspectives. And if we globalize the curriculum, we can actually help our students develop the skills which are much needed to succeed in this world. We all know that our students are going to be the global citizens. So that's very important that we help them develop that understanding of diverse cultures and perspectives. But when it comes to, this is definition and importance, but when it comes to how it should look into the practice, well, it might mean that if I am having a science class, we should be exploring together global health issues, or maybe, for example, analyzing different perspectives on a typical historical event in your history class. Or it also means simply to read literatures from around the world in an English class, or for that matter, if really we want them to learn about these different cultures, what kind of music exists there, what kind of art forms exist there, we know that we can use this in our music or art classes. So, the key here is that we want our students to develop a nuanced understanding of the world and its complexities. They should be able to navigate different cultural contexts. They should be able to communicate effectively across borders. They should be able to think critically about the global issues. Here also, I would like to share another example. I have a friend who works in an international business, and she has to communicate on day-to-day basis with clients from all over the world. Sometimes she has to do projects where she is doing a project with a particular country. So she was sharing her experience with me. Seema, when I have to do a project or when I have to deliver a product for a particular client from a different country, I make sure that I do a little bit of research and sometimes a deeper research to know about their cultural context, to understand their social setup. And this really helps me to deliver what is expected from my client. And this also helps me to be successful in my job or in my business venture. And I think that's exactly what we want for all of our students, that they should be able to communicate, they should be able to navigate, and they should be able to succeed in this globalized world, which is so interconnected but so different at the same time. Ridhima, can I have the next slide, please? Yes. So now we have understood what is a globalized curriculum, or what is the definition of globalized curriculum. The question comes that why should we globalize the curriculum? Well, there are many reasons, not one, but by now, when I have introduced what exactly this workshop is going to have, and I have also shared with you what is the meaning of globalizing the curriculum. So, by now, you know that since our students have to interact with people from different backgrounds or cultures, they have to communicate effectively. It's very, very important that they are working as a globalized workforce. We are preparing them to be a globalized workforce. Second, very important reason for which we need to understand that what will be the benefit of globalizing our curriculum is that we need our students to develop cultural competencies. We want them to be empathetic. How this is going to help them: when our students know about different cultures and perspectives, our students can understand the people of that culture or from that perspective better. And when you understand better, you know that you develop a kind of empathy for people from different cultures. And that's exactly we want our students, that they should have that cultural competency and empathy for people around the world. Here again, I would like to share an example. One of my student was working or going through a text or a prose, and she was reading a novel, and she wanted to understand the character of in that novel, one of the characters. And she came to me and she said that, ma'am, I'm not able to understand the motive, the purpose of doing this particular thing, and the character is going in this direction. So, how do I evaluate? How do I analyze? So, I told her, why don't you research about the cultural background of that character and present it to the entire class? So when she did that, she said that, I have actually got to know about the character's motivation and the particular behavior pattern when I understood that this character comes from that particular cultural background. So, this is exactly what we want our students to develop empathy for people from different cultures. And that's exactly is going to help them when we give exposure through globalizing our curriculum, where they have to read text or where they have to understand people from diverse backgrounds. Third, globalizing the curriculum, of course, enhances our students' critical thinking and problem solving skills. Because when we talk about critical thinking, definitely it means that we need to have multiple diverse perspectives. We need to look at multiple perspectives for, and sometimes when we evaluate a situation from multiple perspectives, we try to understand the problem better, and if the problem is understood better, definitely we are going to find out the right or the good solution for that problem. So this all happens when we globalize our curriculum. Again, here I would like to share an example that one of my students was working on a project which deals with climate change. And while she realized working on this project that this climate change project which she was dealing with was not only related to the environmental as one of the perspective, there were two other perspectives which were linked to that environmental problem, and that was a social perspective and an economic perspective. So she while working and researching on that, she found out that this problem was not only environmental. For example, the project which she was working on, that in a particular city, because of industries there is a lot of pollution, and government has to do something, they should shut down the industry. So she found out that when this is not going to be the resolution or the solution for this problem, because this particular place, 75% of the people of that small town or city were working in those factories, and it was providing employment to those people. So if we shut down the factory, it is not going to be a solution, a realistic solution. And another perspective which was attached to it was that it was a source of income for these people. So rather than shutting down, the best part was how we can reduce the pollution which was emitted because of the existence of these factories. So this kind of critical thinking and this kind of a problem solving attitude we want our students to develop, and that was possible only when they were working on such projects which gave them opportunity to think from a different perspective or from multiple perspectives. So these are just few examples which helps you to understand that why globalizing the curriculum is so important. And I'm sure that when we will start implementing, when we infuse these kind of perspectives into our curriculum, our students are getting equipped better to handle such kind of, and they are developing the skills which are needed in this globalized or interconnected world. Ridhima, can I have the next slide, please? Yes. So now here is what exactly, if we go with the definition, what do we mean by diverse perspective and voices? I know that yes, it is linked with diverse perspective means we have diversity in our classroom, and diversity refers to the presence of different groups or individuals with unique characteristics, experiences, and backgrounds. Not only the diversity has a meaning, but even diversity has types also. We have experienced, we have interacted with people who come from different backgrounds, viewpoints, different cultures, races, ethnicities, genders, sexual orientations, abilities, and socioeconomic status. So we know that yes, diversity exists and there are types of diversity. More than that, what is important is when we need to understand that diversity has to be linked with inclusivity. So when we talk about inclusivity, we have to recognize that each of our students bring a unique perspective to the classroom situation, and we should give them choice, we should give them chance to share their voice or their opinion or perspective in the class. So this kind of inclusive environment is much needed to make sure that the curriculum is being globalized and there is inclusion of each and every voice in the classroom whenever we are dealing with any particular situation or a curriculum or a goal which is oriented towards a particular subject. And by doing so, we are actually developing a deeper sense of our students get a deeper sense of understanding of the world and its complexity. And if they understand world better, they are more empathetic, they are critical thinkers, and I will say that they are the best problem solvers when they will come into the real world. Miss Ritima, can I have the next slide, please? Yes. So now let's come to the core. What are the strategies which will help you to globalize the curriculum? As I said, that there are numerous ways. So one of that definitely is that you need to infuse global issues into your curriculum. Incorporate themes like environmental sustainability. And I've just given you an example where how the students do some projects on climate change. But sometimes we have to think that there are other topics also for which you can include them into your curriculum, which gives a global perspective to your student. For example, the topics or the themes related to social justice or global health. Here I would like to give an example, like if you want to do something and if you are teaching history or social studies or civics or geography for that matter, if you are dealing with social justice and you are taking a topic which deals with the rules and regulations or laws for migration in your country, use this as a topic to make sure that you are giving a platform where this can become a global issue also. Ask your students to do a research and find out about the migration laws or rules in their country or in other countries. This way your students will be able to, you can distribute different countries to your students and you can ask them to find out what are the migration rules in these countries. So this is the way where you can infuse global issues into your classroom situation and link with your subject areas. Similarly, global health, that can be done in the science, it can be done in your, even in your literature also. In science, definitely you can ask your students to pick up some diseases and find out the global health index of that disease in comparison to your own country and other countries. So this way you need to any topic can be actually linked with the global issue, because what we are facing in our country, more or less those issues are also dealt in other countries. Sometimes they have overcome those issues through proper critical thinking and problem solving process, and that can also be taken into our concern, and that we can take advantage from that. Similarly, we can use, how can we globalize the curriculum? We can use diverse resources, like we can include literature from diverse authors. Why always we need to study authors whom we know? Why don't we pick up authors which are famous in other countries and let our students read the literature related to that? We can also have multimedia resources or primary resources which can be used as a strategy for globalizing your curriculum. I know that I have used a multimedia resource to teach my student about Syrian refugee crisis. Now, it was such a powerful way that I have used a multimedia resource, but without even going to that country, without even taking our students literally to somewhere where sometimes it seems impossible, we brought that kind of environment by showing a multimedia resource and still helping our students to see the human impact of global issues. We can also use project based learning, which is very very healthy way of bringing or making your curriculum globalized, which is commonly nowadays known as PBL. So this way you can give projects to your students. They can research and present global issues or work on a project that addresses a global problem. That's one way of globalizing the curriculum. The third strategy is also like using technology. What can be a better example that right now, giving this as an example, that today I'm able to interact with people from all over the world, and we are in a session where we are discussing about how we can globalize the curriculum, and we are using technology, right? This is a kind of video conferencing which is happening, where you can see me as a presenter, and then we are going to have an interactive session, also a hands-on activity where you will also be working on making an action plan, how you can do your curriculum, how you can globalize your curriculum. So this is one of the way where we can use technology and get connected. And that's how exactly what happened when I have given a project to my student, and that project was to find out about global food systems. So she wanted to interview a farmer from another country, and she has used technology so well. She did a video conferencing with a farmer from another country, and she interviewed her related to what are the global food system, what is the food system which is followed in their country, and she was able to work on this project and present it. So that's exactly this kind of global connection we want our students to make, and this will help them to work as global citizens in the coming years when they will step out and become a workforce, or they will be working in their business houses. Yes. Ridhima, can I have the next slide, please? So let's look at some of the examples of successful implementations where people have been, or the boards have been able to globalize the curriculum. One example is International Baccalaureate Program, and which is commonly known as IB program. You all, many of you must be aware of this. The core of this curriculum is that it works on creating global citizens. It works on the curriculum is globalized. They work, each and every subject area is taught through project based learning. So that's one way of making sure that this is how you can integrate diverse perspective and voices into your curriculum. Another example is Global Schools Network, which connects schools from around the world, and it promotes a global learning and a collaboration environment. Not only this, we can also look at individual educators. Like there are educators who have incorporated diverse perspective and voices into their curriculum through project based learning or through service learning. And as I have shared a lot of examples with you, when I was working as a teacher, and I used to give projects which were of global nature, and which tried to cover as much as issues, the global issues which were happening, and my students were able to. So this is individual, as an individual educator, you can incorporate uh, mm, mm, issues which are of global nature. I also want to, I have shared my multimedia example also. So this is how, if you see that successful implementation where boards or the individuals or the networks like Global School Network have been able to globalize the curriculum. Ridhima, next slide, please. Now, I know that when we start working on something which is new for all of us, we definitely face challenges. And one of the challenges which we all educators have faced whenever we have introduced something very different or new into our curriculum is the resistance from stakeholders. And when I talk about resistance from stakeholders, yes, the biggest stakeholder and the immediate stakeholder for us when we work with student is their parents. So sometimes we face resistance from parents when we want to do projects which are for international nature or global nature, and it asks their children to explore or to delve in more into the culture or the religion sometime, or another aspect which is of global nature but which is not very well taken by people of some races or culture. So it is very important that we need to take into confidence these stakeholders. You need to orient the parents of the students that there is a reason that why you are including such topics into your curriculum, and you are asking your students to work and research on those topics, because that's what is needed in today's time, that you're preparing their children so that they are global citizens and they are able to acquire those skills which will be needed in the future. And it's very important to win their confidence, take them along in your journey of globalizing the curriculum. And believe me, start inviting these parents, because as we are talking about diverse perspectives, so obviously it makes sense when you are calling parents who are also from diverse backgrounds and they come and share their experiences. They feel connected when you invite them, and then they realize the importance of that. If they are sharing their example which belongs to a different type of culture, and students are listening attentively and they are very much interested in listening to their experience, this is exactly you as an educator is going to do in your class. Maybe the way will be different, that you are giving projects to them and they have to do a lot of research and do exploration work, but ultimately the aim is that bringing that perspective into the classroom, which will help their children to grow and to develop a deeper understanding of this world. Also, you can invite local businesses, community organization, because that's how you are going to bring diverse perspective in your class, in your subject area. Another thing is that how to start with. Should I start? I have something very small to work on. Even if it is start small, I will say, but do start. So if you start with incorporating one topic in your subject area for every class, whichever class you are teaching each year, believe me, by the time 2 or 3 years have been passed by, you will see that every class, wherever you are teaching, or each subject which you are teaching, you are building, you are incorporating, infusing a lot of global issues in your curriculum, and your curriculum is looking more like a globalized curriculum year after year. So you have to build incrementally, but do start small, even if you have to start with one topic every year. Next is ensuring inclusivity. It's very important. So when you you have decided that you are going to bring global issues into your curriculum or your subject area, make sure that you also attend a lot of professional development courses, or you have those opportunities, so you know that how this topic can be globalized, how even a topic which you feel is at a local level or national level, you will see that if you start connecting it with global or with other countries, that same problem or same thing exists in other countries as well. With my experience, since I'm working as a leader in a Cambridge board, we have a subject which is global perspectives. So if you want, you can connect with teachers who are working in Cambridge curriculum. Global perspective subject has stage wise global issues, even the issues which are very very local to a particular country but still can be linked with a global problem. So you will see that the more you will interact with other educators, or you make connections, or you attend professional development opportunities or CPDs, you will see that you will be able to bring this kind of environment into your subject areas. So remember, the key is start with one topic for one subject once in a year, and then keep on moving to more topics, adding more topics. Next slide, please, Ridhima. Yes. So now we have explored the importance of globalizing the curriculum. We have looked at some of the strategies and examples for doing so. Now it's time to work on the action plan, to develop an action plan for globalizing our curriculum. So today, after once I finish this presentation, I will be opening the floor for any questions you have, and then we will do a very small interactive and hands-on activity where you will be put into breakout rooms, and you will be asked to develop an action plan to globalize your curriculum for your subject area. And this exactly will give you really a hands-on approach, where today when you will leave this workshop, you will feel that okay, at least one activity is already decided. As a group, you will be sitting in the interact this breakout room, you will be with other participants, and there will be a lot of collaboration and contribution from each one of you. And I'm going to share a sample activity, I'm going to share a template, the prompts which are needed to make a lesson plan. It's a very small activity but very interesting activity, and will give you a lot of confidence today to take away, to take it as a takeaway from this workshop. Remember that globalizing the curriculum is an ongoing journey. So you have to be patient. But what I want all of you is to enjoy the success at each and every small step you make toward globalizing the curriculum. And together we have to prepare our student for a more just and equitable world. With this, I end my presentation. So thank you for your attention, and I welcome any questions you have for me. I'm more than happy to answer those questions.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Sima. So right now we are going to bring up some of the questions from our participants. So for other participants, if you want to add more questions, please feel free to do so. And once you add your questions, please also provide some context to the question so we understand what are you asking about. Okay.
Okay, Ms. Yang, would you like to read out if we have any question? Or
Okay, sure. So I will read out the first question. As an educational leader, what challenges do you face in the context of teachers in advancing the democratization of global education?
so I think as an educational leader, definitely the first challenge which I face whenever we ask our teachers as a leader that they should bring is they are the mindset, the change in that mindset, that we what is the importance, why we need to do it. So that's very important that our educators now, I think, if we have done this session where we have worked on the benefits of globalizing the curriculum. So this way, a leader has to make sure that the team understands the importance of globalizing the curriculum. They understand the importance from students perspective. We talk a lot about that we have to make our students global citizens. They cannot be expected to behave like global citizen unless we make sure that they know about diversity, they know about inclusivity in the classroom situation. If they do not know that there is a perspective which is beyond their own perspective, they will not be able to respect other cultures, they will not be able to have empathy, which is much needed in today's time, and to be successful as a global citizen. So that's how the biggest challenge is to make our teachers understand that there is a need to globalize the curriculum, and we want to advance in our field, and we want to bring a lot of topics which will mm, which will give an exposure to our students to develop that perspective which is needed, which is one of the skills which is needed in this today's competitive and interconnected world. So I think that's the biggest challenge as a leader, to seek cooperation from educators, from teachers who are going to directly interact with students. So
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Sima, for your response. And now we have another questions here.
yeah.
As a principal, you are the pedagogical leader at your school. So, what are your strategies to prepare your school towards democratizing education?
So as I said that the onus is definitely on teachers, but I will see that the teachers also are ready to take the challenges if you as a principal and a pedagogical leader is ready to give them input. So it's very important, like in today's workshop I was just talking about, that we will go away, we will end this session when we have hands-on activity done on how I can develop an action plan. So as a leader, it is my responsibility, as a leader it's your responsibility in your respective schools, that you ask your teachers, you share the strategies, you ask them to incorporate or infuse one topic at a time in their respective subject areas, and give them resources, give them access to such resources, have lot of CPDs or professional development opportunities for them, so that they know how we are going to globalize it, how we will make sure that different perspective and voices are incorporating into our curriculum. Make sure that your teachers are well equipped also to deal with this kind of change which you are expecting and you want to see in your school. So as a pedagogical leader, I think the onus is much on principals, and we have to make sure that my team or our team feel empowered and they feel that we are ready to do this exercise with our students in our classroom situation. So when we talk about technology, as a leader we have to make sure that our teachers are interacting with people, with teachers from other cities or from other countries. They are networking, and luckily I can say that our curriculum, Cambridge curriculum, where presently I'm working as a founder principal, and before that also I have worked with Cambridge board, and I know that the Cambridge curriculum is like that. It has scope for a lot of global perspective or global voices into the curriculum. But for other people from other countries or nation, you have national curriculum, you have your state curriculum. So today you know that there is a scope for each one of you to infuse topics which are global in nature, but it can be very well incorporated into your subject area, be it maths, be it science, be it literature, be it music, dance, art form, whatnot. So I think yes, as the leader, it's your responsibility to make sure that you are providing those resources in your school and creating that environment. So you have to lead from the front.
Okay, thank you so much. And moving on, as you have mentioned, we need to prepare our educators. So, how can we prepare educators in navigating potential conflicts among students resulting from diverse perspectives when making our learning contents more globalized?
Yeah. So I think a beautiful question, I must say then, and we have experienced as an educator, we have experienced such situation where it happens that we are talking on a topic, and we are talking about a particular culture, and the students from different culture, they start saying, but it doesn't happen in my culture, we don't do like this. Oh my god, you go and you do like this. So there is lot of conflict when it comes to classroom situations. Students, they want to prove that whatever is done in their culture or in their ethical background or in their community is the best, the practices are the best. So I think to prepare our educators to navigate through these potential conflicts is we need to have an environment where we ask our students, okay, you belong to this particular community, you know more or less everything about your community. Let's assume that. Why don't you work on your friend's community? Your friend is from a different community. Why don't you do a research on this community and then you present it to the class, and then you get it validated from your friend? Am I right? Have I done a proper research on your community or whatever background you come from? So this is one way where our teachers are making sure that the projects which are given sometimes are given according to their cultural background, which they are very comfortable, and there is a mutual exchange. So there is another advantage. If we do like this, they start respecting the culture of, or the culture background of the other person which they which whom they are interacting with. So this is what we have to do as an educators, I think, to avoid these potential conflicts. We have to make sure that the distribution of the projects or global issues are creating that environment where, rather than exploring working on my own community, I'm working on someone else's community. I'm trying to do research on that.
Thank you so much. That is a wonderful response and a perfect example for us to learn how can we help educators to better navigate those conflicts. And moving on, we can take up some more questions.
Okay.
So in the push to democratize global education, how can we create curriculum and learning environment that are universally accessible and cater to diverse learning needs, including those of students with disabilities?
So, like as I said, that we, irrespective of the background which our students come from, and there is a scope for universal accessibility. It's not that we have to use. I understand that in some places there is no scope or less scope for using technology when it comes to, because we think that we can globalize anything only when we have access to technology. But I don't think so that that's the only thing which is required to globalize the curriculum. We have so much of text also which is available. We have books also available. A teacher can also do a little bit of research and she can present it to the class. I know the question also asks that people with disabilities, how they will be able to participate in this globalized curriculum. So if I talk about the subjects, for example, music. In music also, there are different instruments, right? If we try to even use the local instruments and we also try to link it with, because as an educator, she has to work a little extra to bring that kind of environment into her class, even if there is a lack of resources. She cannot provide resources to the student because students are coming from that background. Or for that matter, sometimes our teachers are also held up because they do not have access to those resources. But in today's time, I think we all are somewhat, at least that much, able to create or to read text from different backgrounds or from different cultures, because we have access to the written literature. So that is available. We can make sure that if we are doing music, we can have different instruments where they have access to those instruments and they can learn about different cultures. If we are talking about maths, so nowadays carbon footprint is something where if you are doing a school event, you can ask your students, let's find out how much water was used during a school event, how much electricity was consumed during a school event. Let's see that how much paper was utilized, how much even a school event will have decorations where we can go to an art teacher and find out. So this is like, if you are able to find out in your classroom setup without any resources how much paper was used, how much water was used, you are going to connect it with the global pattern where you can say that this much of carbon footprint goes into conducting any event at a school level. So we can assume that if we are doing an event at a state level or a national event, how big, how much consumption will be there in terms of the carbon footprint. So I don't see that we are restricted because we do not have access to technology. We can still universalize, we can still globalize our curriculum, because as an educator, we are aware of the global trends. So definitely the onus is more on educator to bring that kind of perspective into the class. And if we are very, very, I will say, competent enough, we will see that we can get diverse perspective within our classroom situation, even if they don't have access to technology. Even if one student has access to technology in a class of 30 or 40 students, we can always have that student talk about something and share the perspective, and other students getting advantage from one perspective which is coming from one of the students.
Yes, thank you so much. And we also have another question. From your context, what are the strategies to involve the local community in driving democratizing efforts?
Yeah, that's another good question. And I think that's been also in one of my slides. I have discussed about this, that this is one of the challenge when it comes to stakeholders, that the parents, they are not very welcome. They do not appreciate when we include diverse perspectives. So one of the ways to involve local businesses and the local community organizations, where if we are talking about equality, like for example, there are local organizations who in your city, in every city, where they work on making sure that equality is exercised when it comes to education also. You can ask them, you can invite them as guest speaker. And this is again, yang, it answers, it also includes answer to your previous question, how without technology or how without access to resources we can universalize. You can invite local businesses or people from community, local community organizations to come and speak to your students, and that's how they bring their perspective, or they bring their broader perspective or a different perspective to your school, and when they talk to your students about a particular issue. So that's how you can involve, and they are the strongest stakeholders when it comes to globalizing your curriculum. Your local business houses, local businesses, or community organization proves to be very helpful.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe lastly, we can take up one more questions.
Okay.
So, what are the top three things you would recommend a new school leader in an elite school to take up to advance education is accessible to all learners, even for those who can't afford such an opportunity?
I think the top three things I would recommend is that every country's government is making sure that the quality education is accessible to everyone, irrespective of their economic status, or irrespective of their uh, religion, race, or caste. So I think much of the work is done by the government. Like in our country, we have an act which is known as Right to Education, where we every elite school, or any, for that matter, any school, we have to reserve few seats for our students who are coming from a background where they do not have access to quality education. But by providing opportunity, equal of, no, if not equal, then maybe a percentage of the seats are reserved for them. That can be practiced. As a school leader, we should make sure that that's practiced in your school. So that's one thing we can make sure. Second is that even those who cannot afford also, we can have our students reach out to these students. I know that one of the biggest, how to be empathetic, how to teach our students to be empathetic, is we used to take our students to the underprivileged or less privileged areas. There, the students do not have access to good education. So for good 15 days, that's the project for them under their social activity of the school. They go and teach these students. They go and exchange ideas with them. They go and train them. So this is one of the things which can also be incorporated by a new leader in of an elite school. She can make sure that, or he or she can make sure that students of their school are going and dealing or sharing their knowledge with underprivileged children. Make it as a project, as a summer, maybe it can be a summer internship, that for good 30 days you will be adopting five children of from where whichever area you live. You have people, those who are from economically poor or low background, teach those students for 30 days, submit your report with photographs, with testimonials, and that's one of the way we can make sure that the education also reaches the one who are not, who cannot afford this kind of quality education. And third is definitely through this is a community service. And third, I think, as an educators also, we should also take, our educators also should share their ideas with teachers from such schools where they do not have access to technology. When we want our students to do this as summer internship program, I think somewhere our teachers also should get an opportunity to network with the teachers or share their ideas with teachers of underprivileged or maybe remote areas. So this is how we can make sure that it has been universalized, and we are making sure that each one has access to a quality education and quality good opportunities.
Thank you so much, Miss Sima, for all the wonderful suggestions and practical advices. And moving on, we could proceed to our breakout room session. So
Yes.
maybe we can have our event support to put all of us into breakout room sessions.
Yeah.
Till then, we can please wait for a moment.
Okay. Are the participants put into breakout room, or before that can I explain this template? Okay, so I'm going to explain this template, how you are going to use this template. So on your screen, you can see that we are going to do a hands-on activity on the subject area of your choice. You are put into breakout rooms. I know that in breakout rooms you will be, maybe you are from different subject areas, but together you can decide that which subject area you want to work on. So on your screen you can see prompts. First, you have to think about what are some global issues or perspective that could be incorporated into your subject area. So you have to specify in the beginning which subject area, whether you are taking maths, whether you are taking English, whether you are taking science, whether you are taking social studies, or whether you are taking music, art, dance, whichever art form. Second, you have to modify your existing curriculum to include more diverse perspectives and voices. And you have to answer, you have to think about how you can modify. Third is, what resources or support would you need to implement these changes? You need to discuss about that. After once you are done with these three prompts, you have to share your ideas with the larger group. So I am going to give you 10 minutes for this activity, but after 10 minutes, you can decide that in your group who will be the presenter. So before even working as a group, I would advise you people that one of you can be a scribe who is going to write down answers for these prompts. One of you can be the researcher who is going to explore what topics you can incorporate as per your subject area. One of you can be the presenter when finally it comes as presenting to a larger group. So this will divide your role so that it is easy for all of you to work as a group and contribute constructively. Second is, how could you modify your existing curriculum? You have to share this with that what global first you have to share with the larger audience, which global issue or perspective you have taken in your subject area. Second, you have to tell us how you have modified your existing curriculum. And third, you have to also share with the larger group what resources or support you will need to implement these. After this, I'm going to ask all of you, what did you learn from this activity, and how can you apply what you have learned into your teaching practices? So, this is the template for your breakout room activity. And Miss Yang or Miss Ridhima is also going to share with you one of the sample activity which is already done in the subject maths. She's going to share that with you when you are in the breakout room. So one of you who is the researcher or the reader in your group can read out that sample activity so that it will help you to actually get started. As sometimes you remember when we do English lessons with us and we want them to work on creative writing aspect, we get the first statement, we give them the first prompt so that they get that confidence to get started. Similarly, to get started on your subject action plan, I have shared one sample activity which will be shared with you. So Yang, that's from my side. I hope now you are going to put them into breakout room.
We can have one representative from each breakout room to come up on the stage to present your ideas so we all can learn from each other. While at the same time, you can also put up your responses in the chat box so we can know about your ideas.
I think breakout room number two must be having one presentation ready. If I'm not wrong, I went to that room and yes, they
Okay.
were discussing about the topic. They decided on science, if I'm not wrong, as the subject area where they would like to present. So, can we have one of the spokesperson from that group to present the idea? It's okay,
Yes.
even if you have been able to develop it half your way. It's perfectly fine.
Yes, maybe you all can raise up your hands and we can bring you all up on the stage.
May we request someone from groups two?
If it is difficult, maybe you all can also put up your ideas or comments on the chat box so we are able to see what is your response. How about group one? Anyone from group one wants to come up and present their ideas?
Okay. Even if you can present your subject area, whichever topic you took and you started working on that, and I can understand that you may not be able to finish the prompt answers for all three prompts, it's perfectly fine if you can just tell us which subject area you pick up in your group.
I, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So our group, we did not choose a subject per se because we felt that the topic that we were discussing was relevant to almost every subject and could be integrated into it. So more generically, the idea that we were talking about was to incorporate. So the first prompt question was, what are some global issues or perspectives that could be incorporated in your subject area? I think one of them was understanding, global understanding and perspectives. So one of the things that we looked at was incorporating feelings and emotions as a part of it, because globally there's a uh, there's a rise in uh, sectarianism, challenges that we face in terms of extremism in terms of perspectives of people. We are more siloed today than we have ever been. So that was the context that we were looking at. So, what could you modify your existing curriculum to include more diverse perspective and voices? That was the next question or a prompt that we had. For that, one of the things that we could do is perhaps have small activities before, after, and during the session, which are more mindful, like making the child feel connected, asking, instead of just taking the attendance the way you take it regularly, maybe to just ask them what's their favorite color as a mark of attendance, or maybe to ask them, what do they like or what do they not like. So, in a way, as a teacher, you also get to know them, you make them feel valued, and you use that time where you're marking attendance to incorporate SEL components within your curriculum or teaching subject. So, what resources or support would you need to implement these changes? I think a bit of mindfulness on part of teachers, but also support from school for teachers to develop these what do you call mindfulness practices that can be expanded to different aspects of teaching and learning. So that is what we discussed, and we also discussed the present crisis that's happening, and also what can we do to globalize the curriculum. So that's from my team with Geeta and Bilkis. So there we go.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, that was wonderful. And I completely agree with that. Rather than having a specific subject area, what matters most is the emotions and feelings also. We need to make sure that we are bringing lot of innovation when it comes to even simply wishing or taking the attendance in the morning. And I remember 2 3 years back, a lot of our educators, they came up with this idea that instead of every morning asking roll number one or so name, taking their roll call, when they come to classroom, we will ask them how they would like to be welcomed, they would like to be hugged, or they would like to be given high five. And that suddenly it has changed the environment. Students were always looking forward for those 2 minutes, where today if they have selected a high five, next day they will select a hug or something. So That's how we need to bring this kind of perspective or this kind of environment into our classroom situation, where it talks about inclusion. It talks more about giving that feel to each of our students that this day is going to be special for you. So, having a happy morning. So, thank you for sharing this. We have, I think, attendees also, and Jyoti Kiran wants to share, and she wants to present what her group has worked upon, the subject area or something. Jyoti, do you want to speak about that?
That's great. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Yeah, today for the very first time, I'd like to apologize on this platform. I've always been a very active participant when it comes to global citizenship. I've been facing major network issues, and I've been not been able to connect through my, not able to hear most of it. So, my humblest apologies to all of you all. Thank you, Seema ma'am, for giving me this opportunity. But can the other participant from our group go ahead and speak? My
Yes,
apologies again.
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, please. Yeah.
Hello, a very good afternoon to our wonderful colleagues today, and very good afternoon to you, uh, presenter. Your presentation was so enriching.
Thank
Actually, I'm speaking on behalf of Breakout Room 1. We didn't have enough time to complete. My name is Oigo Gaonu Story. I'm a Nigerian educator. So we never had enough time to complete the activity, but I could just go through it quickly what we did. So the subject area we agreed the subject area we agreed, since we are coming from different subject backgrounds, was STEAM. That is science, technology, education, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So, with a perspective of integrating it across the entire school curriculum, that is the holistic implementation. And the global issue that came to mind was climate change, which cuts across every uh, subject areas. Could it be maths, English, social studies, civic, and so on? So the aim was to see how activities can be embedded in the curriculum to spur uh, climate action among students. So, following SDG 13 as the theme for the curriculum intervention. And the activities could involve topics on global warming and bush burning, which in the relationship there is that bush burning really contributes to the greenhouse gas emission. So indiscriminate bush burning can contribute more to global warming. So the topics can be discussed. If it's in a maths class, um, they could research um, statistical data as regards the levels of impact of bush burning across countries, can be across a region in their country. Okay, so English class can be an essay, a composition that talks about um, global warming as an issue in the news and how they could analyze its impact in the classroom. And for social studies, they could look at how climate change is impacting on the lives of people in general, maybe targeting gender, maybe in terms of females, women, and girls. Okay, so these are concepts that they could do as after classroom activities. Okay, so it's an activity to be done outside classroom. Then we didn't have time to talk about the resources that we need, but for our sake, I think I'll just chip, if I'm allowed, I'll chip in some ideas I have. So videos, introductory videos that will inspire and captivate children's mind can be a startup activity in such teaching environment. And then finding out how to get seedlings as a solution, that is planting of trees as a solution rather than bush burning. They could go into planting of trees to restore the, I mean, to reduce the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And then finally, they could get, the teacher or instructor will get some data, real-time data, by the way of chat or research article that students can use in their action plan or whatever they intend to do. So for our time, I think I'll stop here. Thank you very much for that opportunity.
That's great. I think you have been able to work on this action plan, which exactly was expected. That how will you be able to take any global issue and you will find out how this can be brought into as a global uh, issue, how this can be linked with the global issue, and you have been able to work out perfectly as planned. And I hope that you have got the confidence how you will be able to take up different issues, global issues, and will embed into your curriculum, whichever subject. Like you said, you're a science teacher and you have taken climate action, but at the same time you have been able to find the stats, also work on the statistical data, so which is like integrating mathematical calculations into this. So you know that how interdisciplinary approach also was always a kind of approach which where the main motive or the aim was to make sure that through different connections into one issue we are trying to bring different perspectives, right? So exactly, globalizing the curriculum also works on this core concept, which is bringing diverse perspectives into any issue whichever our students or in this world we all are facing. So well done. I really appreciate your efforts.
Okay, thank you to all participants who contributed meaningful ideas to our discussion today. Reflecting on today's session, Ms. Sima has shared with us her experiences and examples of using different practical strategies to implement diverse perspectives and voices in classrooms. Globalizing education doesn't necessarily rely on technological resources, as what Ms. Sima has mentioned. Educators can make use of the diverse experiences and knowledge of students in the classroom, contributing to the meaningful learning process. Helping learners feel more comfortable and more connected by incorporating their feelings and emotions into their daily learning can ensure that they feel valued in the classroom environment. I understand that we still have a lot of questions that we may not have been able to cover or answer sufficiently through this workshop session. Your thoughts, ideas, and suggestions, feedbacks are valuable to us. So please don't hesitate to share them by emailing us or tagging us on social media posts. We will appreciate your thoughts, ideas, and feedbacks. And please take your time to fill out the feedback form that we will share with you after the session. We will also love to hear your recommendations on topics you want to discuss at our future events. Thank you, Ms. Sima, for honoring our invitation to the workshop session and sharing such insightful knowledge with our audience.
Thank you so much, Yang, for being having me on this platform, and it was wonderful to interact with the global audience today. So, thank you so much, and
Thank
thank
you
you
so
so much to the Global Citizenship Foundation and the founders who have been able to, I will say that, weave out this kind of workshop, which is really needed for all of us to feel connected.
Thank you very much. To our audience, thank you for staying with us in the 27th edition of the Educational Leadership Forum. We hope you got inspired and had more opportunities to learn and understand the strategies and best practices for you as education leaders to enhance inclusive and supportive experiences for educators. On behalf of the Global Citizenship Foundation, the Council for GCED, and all our attendees, I extend my deepest gratitude to our speaker for taking their time out of their busy schedules and enriching the discourse through their unique ideas, insights, and experiences. Also, thank you for being part of the Educational Leadership Forum and for everything you have been doing to advance the discourse on transforming education for human and planetary flourishing. We appreciate the time, insights, and effort you all have contributed to driving this extremely crucial discussion towards shaping the futures of education for generations of young people. Just a reminder that we have an education leaders meetup next Wednesday, August 21st from 13:30 UTC. Also, we will have a special book feature session on the Roulette International Handbook of Equity and Inclusion in Education with Professor Paul Dons next Friday, August 23rd at 11:30 UTC. See you all soon. Until then, take care, stay safe, and spread love and compassion. Our world needs it more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.